Round number 15 is on the way, folks. Let's take a look at our feature match that we're going to kick things off with for round number 15. Guess what? It's Simon Nielsen versus teammate Javier Dominguez.
Unreal. He was 4-4, Maria.
4-4 this morning. Battled back to 10-4 along with Javier Dominguez. Simon Nielsen, reigning player of the year, 4 top 8s in a row at these Pro Tours. That was already making history.
Yeah.
This could make history a second time. Beating his own record, has won 6 in a row today. Got to get through Javier
Incredible.
Dominguez, though. Great player as well, 2018 World Champion, winner of Mythic Championship 5, came in 9th at the last Pro Tour, and is hungry for the top 8 this time around. There's the players. Tell me about this mirror match, Corey.
Absolutely, so you said it right. This is a mirror match. Let's check out the first deck list. Well, they're gonna both pretty much look the same here. This is an Esper mid-range mirror match, so buckle up. This is gonna be a long, grindy matchup here. You're trying to get Rafine into play. Both players have Wedding Announcement. Both players have Fairy Mastermind, so you really have to navigate these cards very carefully and get as much out of them as you possibly can. Let's switch over to Javier's list. Gonna look a lot the same. A couple differences here in the sideboard as well as a couple main deck cards. But Maria, this is truly a mirror match. And between 2 teammates, one of them's hoping to win and maybe shake hands next turn and just make it into the top 8. We'll see after this round.
Okay, it's all come down to these final 2 rounds here at Pro Tour Thunder Junction. I'm going to pass it on over to the booth. 2 left to go. Let's start putting people into the top 8. We've got a lot of win-ins this round as well. Marshall and Monty, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. Welcome back to the booth. That's Monty DeVuti. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. Thank you so much for joining us. Boy, this is a tough one, right? These are 2 fan favorites as well as great storylines happening, and they're clashing up against each other, and only one person can continue on in the tournament from this match.
Yeah, 2 of my favorites, 2 of your favorites, 2 of the nicest guys on the Pro Tour, absolutely. And teammates, right? That's the tough part. For Handshake, they won last year's Standard Pro Tour. This is sort of the, can we continue that legacy Pro Tour? They only have a few people in the running for this top 8, not the dominating 4 they had last year. And 2 of them are going up against each other, where in reality, the loser is probably, not 100%, but probably out of top 8 contention. So it's a tough place for you to have to fight a teammate, a friend, a comrade that you've been in these trenches with so many times before.
Yeah, that's right. These are 2 of the more dominant players from the last stretch of history for our game as well. We were talking backstage, you and I, Monty, about Javier Dominguez, and you know he's on the short list of most dominant players over the past, say, 5-6 years, something like that. And of course, Simon Nielsen is on an unprecedented run. He has 4 top 8 appearances in a row, and you know, with the win here, he's not in. It's not a lock, but that's a major step towards a new ground. Nobody's ever had 5 in a row, and he's looking to perhaps make history too. And boy, he has made it exciting for himself. As we saw, he was 4-4 overnight. He barely made day 2, and here he is playing against Javier, trying to take a major step forward for a 5th top 8 in a row.
So and look, there's a lot of discussion about whether momentum is a real thing in something like Magic or not. But let's assume for a second it is. Simon is 6-0 today. That is momentum. Javier started off with a 3-0 in draft. Now he's 0-3 in standard so far today. That is whatever the opposite of momentum is, because at some point you start hitting that wall and feeling like it's just not working. Matchup after matchup, it isn't working. So having to overcome that is an extra mental hurdle that Javier is dealing with right now in this match against one of the best in the world, certainly on the hottest streak in history in the world.
So we're going to use this match to determine whether momentum is real?
Definitively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to see cut down, takedown, Rafine here. And that's going to lead to no attacks.
That is 15-24. I think it's great, huh?
10x is great, huh? Again, 2 very friendly players and very good friends slash teammates.
Yeah, the banter is there, but you can tell by the facial expressions. They're both locked in. This is serious mode. And I got to say, for Simon, you know, he has the streak going, but there's one thing that has evaded him. He doesn't have that title. I think Simon's only real title individually in his career. He does have that World Magic Cup win, but that was with a team. That was with the Danish team. So he's searching for that individual title. And despite this incredible streak, he keeps getting semifinals, finals, not crossing that line and getting that trophy.
Maybe, yeah.
Double Fairy Mastermind on end step there for Javier Dominguez. He untaps his land, surveys the scene. He's got 2 of those plus the Denick versus just a single Fairy Mastermind over for Nielsen.
Comet?
Javier staring at the Wandering Emperor in his own hand and imagining the Wandering Emperor potentially being there on the other side. Do you want to attack at this
Did you
spot?
hear that, Mon?
No.
Javier goes, combat, and Simon goes, come at me. Long pause from Javier, and Simon does the chicken noise to him. Like, come on, man. Let the guy think about it.
That's almost a go.
There's one thing I gotta say. These guys never fail to put on a show for us.
They really do. It's great.
2 of the most expressive, emotive, emotional players on the Pro Tour, in addition to just being truly, genuinely kind.
It's true. This is why these 2 are fan favorites.
Comet, huh? I'm gonna attack.
He's like, I'm already in combat.
Yeah, you asked for it, Simon.
Bring it.
I will
So
push
we're going to
myself.
see the Wandering Emperor.
Now,
There's an interesting choice here.
Yep.
Because you could do +1/+1 first strike, but then if Javier has one or a removal spell, things go awry.
can I
Or
move
you
blocks?
could -2 your
Yes, you
Wandering
can.
Emperor, but that would leave you with less loyalty.
Can I
Here?
move to blocks?
Yes.
And this is interesting because Simon now can say, okay, Javier, if you're going to do your own Wandering Emperor to give first strike, I can give first strike as well, and trade them without minusing because I'm getting rid of one Mastermind anyways.
really hard.
But if Javier passes
happens
and
if-
offers the trade, now Simon has to act first on his Emperor. If he goes minus on an unblocked Mastermind, Javier can respond with the Wandering Emperor.
You go
And I
two,
think
go
that's what
Yeah,
we're going
so
to
I
see
think
here.
ancient and
Yeah.
No, 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 no. Hold on, hold on.
Simon went for the unblocked Fairy Mastermind minus.
Yeah.
And
like-
now we're going to see,
Sense.
before damage, Javier Dominguez is going to cast his own Wandering Emperor
two
plus.
again, two, so 15,
That's going to put a
26,
+1/+1
correct?
counter
Yeah.
and
Play
first
my
strike
land,
so that his Fairy Mastermind wins the fight and Denick gets through as well. Then it's tap land go here for Dominguez. So an exchange of resources. It's going to ultimately favor Javier.
Yeah, but Simon can essentially give up the jig here by going minus, make a knight, play the other Wandering Emperor while Javier is tapped out,
yeah.
minus again, get rid of the Mastermind or create another token, add a counter, whatever he wishes to do, and take this opportunity. Of course,
It doesn't do anything anymore.
really said it better than I ever could.
It did.
This doesn't do anything anymore. And the thing is, that tap land wasn't just a tap land for Javier. That was a Restless Anchorage. So it is pressure. It is more on the board for Javier. When all the dust has settled from these Wandering Emperors and everything is gone, it is going to be that Anchorage that is still going to lead the charge for Javier when everything else is dead. I believe Javier said combat already.
Yeah, and Simon said, mm-hmm. And once again, Javier tortured.
No attacks.
No attacks. Wandering Emperor, what a planeswalker.
I'm covered. What can I say?
I'm a coward, what can I say? This is fun. And it looks like Simon's just going to do nothing.
All right.
Go.
End of turn, I'm gonna activate this thing. So,
Activate this thing has been declared. The thing being Fairy Mastermind. Simon gets one card, Javier gets two, as it is the second card being drawn that turn for Simon Nielsen. The Mastermind draws an extra card. So
So what
really,
is Simon supposed to do to get back from this?
well, step one is that Wandering Emperor in hand. As long as that is disincentivizing Javier from attacking, that's a good start.
Okay.
Of course, now that Javier has made a Vigilance token, he can put a counter like this. That gives first strike, and he sends that in to play around the Wandering Emperor and force Simon to be the one to act first.
And in the meantime, even if Simon decides to
12,
just use
26.
his life total as a resource here, Javier just gets to draw 2 cards to his one every turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Tap land.
At some point, Simon will play this Wandering Emperor and say, I'm putting it into play and acting.
And that is right now.
Emperor resolves.
Right,
Emperor
so make it 2-2.
resolves.
Yep.
Nice.
And I suppose he's just going to make another 2-2, and that's what's going to happen.
So it's a right chicken.
Nielsen draws his card for the turn. Both of our players are sitting at 10 and 4. Everybody hitting land drops as well. This has been fairly even, but right now Dominguez has the advantage.
Yeah, these
What's
Esper
that?
mirrors are interesting because every resource
one of my
matters, but they also matter
your Emperor.
proportionately to each
Cards?
other. So right now,
half.
Wandering Emperors, the players are
For
tied.
3 cards.
Removal
Yeah.
spells.
Red.
Javier has Go for the Throat. Simon has Go for the Throat plus an Odawara. So small advantage to Simon. Creature lands, they both have 1 anchorage. They're tied. So the board very much in Javier's favor, but there are parts where Simon is getting the slight edge, and this mastermind needs to clear things out.
So this dice.
Okay, so this is interesting. There's going to be a Fairy Mastermind activation there for Dominguez, but in response, Go for the Throat is going to kill it, so it's just 1 card each.
I have 4 cards. 3.
And look at all those cards there for Javier Dominguez. Though he does seem
A little flooded.
a little flooded, yeah.
Ooh.
Interesting. So he chumped with Denick, but now uses Go for the Throat.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, and Rafine, good draw, but Simon has a Fairy Mastermind in hand, so he's going to be the one taking advantage of that now.
Can this be countered?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it can.
Good to know.
Good to know. Yeah.
I do like that these players, these teammates, activating Mastermind, giving each other cards. Very much the visualization of the handshake in Team Handshake.
True.
One for you, one for me.
Or in some cases, 2 for me.
And as chat mentions, life total, of course, one of the resources in the many resource game here. And Javier has the firm lead in that one, for sure.
Does feel like this game is up for grabs, however. If somebody can make a nice, maybe a 2-turn, or 2 plays in 1 turn, or some big haymaker lands. Hey, Rafine's a good start.
I'm not playing land yet, right? Yeah.
Rafine is a very good start.
Resource. Let's see what happens.
Javier checking if he has played a land or not.
And
He hasn't.
Not, yeah.
Just to Comet
Yeah.
attack on this trigger.
Okay, we're going to see Odawara take care of that last
Trigger.
Knight token.
No creatures attacking anymore means that connive triggers connive 0.
Okay.
Go to bank.
And then Denick is going to come back from the graveyard. Again, good forward progress here for Javier, but he is yet to slam the door on this game.
Cut down, great draw.
Wow,
That
nice
deals
rip
with
there.
Rafine.
And the window's open to do just that.
And now, I think
Okay.
Simon can be the one to pressure Javier's Wandering Emperor by cutting down Rafine and then animating his anchorage. Can put a counter on it, give it first strike.
Cut down this. Let me
Trigger.
make sure my mana works. Yeah. Make it your trigger.
That is a
I
clue,
can
though, from
do that
Denick
with
for
the
Javier.
courtyard in here.
And what Simon means is, does my mana work as far as my Restless Anchorage goes? As it's going to get awoken. There it is.
Animates.
Very powerful creature land.
Put
Counter should go on the anchorage. Up to 4.
a plus counter on my anchorage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And attack
Vigilance.
both of these at your Emperor. Make a map token.
Can I block? Sir?
Yes, you can
Yep.
block.
Removes the map trigger
Yes.
as well.
You should block this one.
May I block? Yes. Should I?
Cards,
That one.
it's probably not a removal spell.
Mm.
Probably not, I would say.
Probably not a
I think
removal
my
spell, says
Emperor
Javier.
is
Good read.
We would have seen that.
It's a
Okay.
fairy mastermind.
Yeah, win for Simon.
I mean, also have the Denic.
Like not a win the game, but a win of the.
Yeah,
battle.
no,
Yeah.
definitely a thing for you. I mean, but at this point, I think this is too bad. So, yeah, this Emperor dies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Small victories. Simon Nielsen takes down the Wandering
And then I
Emperor.
think I'm just gonna play this main phase.
And then
pretty
a
good.
main
Yeah.
phase, while there's only 1 mana available from Javier, it's going to be Fairy Mastermind.
Great timing. Javier drew no more lives for the turn.
Really?
Yeah, main phase was the time to
Two
play
That's
it.
one for my yeah.
1126.
I was
so
trying to figure out how to
annoying
make it
for
work, but I have
Javier.
4 lands, so
That's fine.
Alright.
little.
I think Javier
little
starts
tough.
by using this. Is that a clue? It is a clue token, not a map. Okay.
Yeah,
never mind.
that's a clue from Denick. Yep. There's a map over there on Simon's side.
Yeah, he hasn't attacked with the anchorage yet.
See my hand. Okay.
Sacrificing this clue, he really wants the card, but he does give a card to Simon. So I think the temptation is there to fire up this anchorage, send both at the Wandering Emperor without using the clue.
Land.
Say, I want to get rid of this mastermind, even if it means losing my Denick.
And I'm going to attack with the land on the Emperor, but maybe this too.
Simon would be happy to make that trade, right?
This is a fun match.
Like to keep his Wandering Emperor around?
Maybe. The Wandering Emperor doesn't look particularly great as long as the anchorage is on the other side.
Oh.
While this Fairy Mastermind is threatening these clue tokens, trading with the Denick, you give Javier another clue token. So there's certainly a cost to it.
Nah.
If
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Okay,
attack
so let's see if he lets Wandering
Seven
Emperor
four.
go or makes the trade.
the Emperor get the map.
I think Javier should recognize that this Mastermind is more valuable than the Emperor in this spot.
And it is going to be a block here from
You do
Nielsen.
not, yeah.
So this goes to 2.
Yes.
So down to 2 goes Wandering Emperor, but it is still on the battlefield.
Still on the battlefield.
I will grab the map here.
Just to double check, how many damages did the Wandering Emperor take?
It took 2 from the
Was
anchorage.
that 4?
Yeah.
Ah, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Oh.
Oh,
Probably
hello.
That stays, I will say.
That
Oh.
stays, I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
And I will play the land for my turn.
Ah, that's very nice.
This is great.
Pass the turn.
Who needs us?
Puts me in need of a top deck, I think.
Yep, kind of. Okay.
I wonder if this is what testing is like at their testing house.
All right, maybe not a day.
I've seen them in Discord when I
Running-
watch
running
some of their
combos.
testing, and it is somewhat like this.
So I will
Ooh.
A top deck, you
use the
say?
map on this, am I right?
Okay.
That's a
That's
land.
for you.
Value. I will. Wait, did I? Yeah, I haven't played land for
Oh,
time.
yeah, on the hand, so
It
that's
is a value.
okay.
It is true.
You have not that.
So does he just cash in the Emperor at this point?
I think you are pretty incentivized to cash in
Yours is
the
just a
Emperor.
free-
Just make another knight and it's going to soak up a
I will
hit.
attack you for 2.
All right, so 24, 11.
That does
I'll
seem
make
to
another
be
one.
the case.
Yeah.
Turn.
And it is your turn.
The turn for cards.
So life
Yeah.
total still in Javier's favor, but really
Turn.
this
Yep.
is just teetering on the edge, right? Both
Hoping
players
it's a land.
have been playing tug of war with the mana or with the advantages. What did he find? Oh,
Aquazot.
jeez, that's a big one. Aquazot's Deepest Betrayal off the top here.
One of the most important cards, most powerful cards in the mirror,
Animate.
and
Yep.
They each have one.
they each have one.
Not a
It's
land.
not a land.
It's not a land. I can see that.
I'm beginning to get the sense
die.
that it's not a land.
I will play this.
Oh, Simon
Well,
Nielsen
I-
says,
go.
come on.
I believe Simon is back in the position of I'm going to need a top deck.
Yeah, he said that before and he got one. Does it work this time?
I will.
Can fire up the anchorage, put a counter on it. That gets an attack in through the Bat God, and it will give a
So
map
you go one
token.
mana up.
That
Yeah.
is probably necessary in Simon's
And
position.
make my anchorage.
Yeah.
Can he fire up the anchorage, put a
Will.
counter on it, and then just do that again for blocking or something? Like,
Could.
what's his line here against Aquazots if he didn't find removal for it?
How's my samurai?
Okay.
Oh.
I'll attack with the squad.
Attacking.
Yes. What? Trigger. Make a bat.
24, 11.
Did
You have
he
an Emperor in
find
your deck, you know that?
Another Wandering Emperor.
That's the read here.
Yeah.
Or is he bluffing it? You saw he looked at it so quickly that
We
our
haven't
cards
seen
in
it.
hand hasn't even had a chance to look at it. So we are flying blind here, just like Javier is. What would be your read, Monty, if you were in Javier's seat?
I think he's representing a Wandering Emperor. The thing is, in Javier's position, I think you're okay forcing it out.
8?
It's 8 total.
I feel like I should not.
And just trying to play the long game with Aquazots?
Take it. Yeah.
Javier says, I think I should just take
You're playing
it.
me
So
now.
Okay.
you say
16,
8,
16.
8,
18, right? I was
18, you're 24?
Yeah, 24.
26?
24.
Oh,
What's
I did
24?
26.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. Okay. 16.
Why? Yeah.
It's 8 damage.
Oh, maybe I forgot the attack last turn. With that. Okay.
You,
I will-
were
I'm at 16.
okay.
Yeah, I will map this last time, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, 8.
Simon has
Bats.
not picked up that
Complete
card
bat.
to look at it a single time, so even I haven't seen what it could be.
He looked at it right when he drew it and just put it down face down.
Combat.
Yeah.
He did see a deep cavern bat here, but put it immediately
the
into the
Emperor
yard off
tree.
the map token.
I-
Was
Oh,
Oh, it was like Gonjo!
This thing,
You
let's
do,
check
yeah.
it out.
All right, well,
So
Wow.
this
he
is
gets a
going,
bat,
this comes
but that
back,
comes back
tapped.
tapped as a
Yes.
land.
But I draw a card though, right?
Yes, the trigger resolves on your door.
So is
So
this how you top
so
8
this
4
first
times in a row?
dies and then
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
card,
You
I
know,
think, right?
it's a start.
2 removal
it
spells
will
back
be
to
dead
back
when
when
you
he
draw a
needed
It
them?
comes into play tap though,
It's
right?
a start.
So draw a card?
Javier still has a lot of cards to work with, and they're good. That Wandering Emperor was a real good draw.
Yeah, I'm saying, is this how we got to 4 of them in a row?
Yeah, that's how we got to 4. I don't know if this is how we get to 5 yet.
Okay. We'll keep you updated, let's just say that.
But look, Simon is fantastic, but even if you're the best Magic player in the world, it takes a little bit of luck to get to 4 in a row. It takes even more luck to get to 5.
Okay.
All right, looks like he finally found a blank. No more lies off the top of the library. It's unlikely
I don't know.
to find something.
Javier wants to go for a Wandering Emperor this turn and only has 2 mana
My
left.
samurai, and it's like your
He has a
So-
Wandering Emperor in hand? Oh, wow.
Um,
Never mind. Hello, no more lies.
He might want to go for Wandering Emperor, I
Okay.
should clarify.
seven's a lot, right?
Okay.
He does have access to that go for the
Damage
throat,
last
so he
turn.
doesn't have to go for Wandering Emperor. He can continue playing it safe. And he has life total, so he can afford to take
Alright,
it as
7,
well.
go to 9. Okay.
He's going to play with that life total a little further. He's going to drop down to 9. Oh, but there it is, Wandering Emperor, and there's no more lies.
Look,
That is
gas after
3 in
gas
a row
after
for
gas.
Simon Nielsen. And I should say, by the way,
So
his deck also set him up for that. There was
Oh, yeah.
land off a map token, as well as a deep cavern bat that he didn't want going into the yard.
That's a good draw.
Rafine,
Rafine is a good draw.
go for a
All right, gang.
That is good.
that
is
is
good.
has been called.
combat.
Yep.
Both at the
It's
Emperor,
9,
I would
okay,
assume.
This doesn't matter as much. Start the Emperor.
Yes.
Trigger of in.
Response to the trigger, I guess I'll animate this. And your control.
So
So what's going to happen with this bat?
Yeah.
I think Javier is going to go for the throat, the Encourage, before it blocks.
Okay.
so Emperor goes to
Discarding the
1.
No More Lies because of how many lands Simon has access to.
Sure.
And now he can transform Aquazots back. 2 creatures still, Wandering Emperor down to
Next
1.
turn, these things will happen and you will go
So
after
that he will not be able to exile it.
And Wedding Announcement means another human
Ooh,
being.
that's a huge turn there.
Huge turn for Javier. Finally, a land drawn for Simon. The best land, other than maybe a Rafine's Tower to cycle here and try to
Two
find
for
some
force.
action.
I'm a
But
9, right?
Yeah.
ultimately, a creature land is good going forward. It's just how much more time does Simon have?
Yeah, I really needed this.
Feeling like we're
earlier.
going
Had
through the
some
motions at
rest
this
game.
point.
So we'll go to
All right, that was a land drawn for Javier.
combat.
Yeah.
Javier Dominguez in good position here to pick up game number 1.
4, 5, 6, 7 in the air and can connive 3 times.
You're tapped out, no matter.
I'll just go
yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And that is going to do it. Game number 1 goes to Javier Dominguez. And that 4-4 start may come back to bite Simon Nielsen. Now he's got to win back-to-back sideboarded games against his friend and teammate Javier if he's going to keep that top 8 dream alive. Look, it's not impossible if he loses from this point, but Simon has horrendous tiebreakers after coming over 4 and 4.
Yeah.
And you would certainly not assume that he could still make the top 8 at that point.
Yeah, certainly this is not the situation where any of this is considered, but of the two, if one of them was to have a chance at making it after a loss, Javier starting out 10 and 1, he has the better chance with a loss here to still make it. Simon has the much harder road ahead of him with 4 and 4 tiebreakers after day 1.
So yeah, I'm thinking here. Cast another one.
All right. Virtue of Loyalty is all over the battlefield here.
No. Arden Vale.
Arden Vale fealties all over the battlefield here.
Thank you.
Oh.
Javier has both Aclazats in hand, by the way. Boarded in the second copy.
And to be clear, that's a good thing,
Yeah,
right?
It's a good thing.
Like, we'll get to that point of the game.
Almost certainly.
Yeah, these decks take over in the middle to late part of the game. They rarely have a particularly aggressive
It's
start.
18.
Yeah, I'm at 18.
Yeah, and Javier is currently in a position where
Combat.
he can go banger after banger
Wow, those
after
are
banger.
vigilant.
Yeah, untap those, get a map token.
Oh, that's
He
so
has 2 Aclazats and
Anyone more
2
badly behaved
Virtues in play. So that's 4 different 5-mana plays that he can continue
pretty
playing.
good too.
For Simon,
will,
he's missing land drops currently.
The 12.
He was on the play, has not made his 4th land drop. And with 2 Rafines in hand, he's going to start having to tap out. And this means Javier can resolve a Virtue, can resolve an Aclazat. And that's really bad.
Yeah, this is really tough for Simon Nielsen. He has a decent hand. No more lies. Long goodbye. Go for the throat. And then the Rafine you see on the battlefield here. Wow, with a wedding announcement too, but a little bit of desperation perhaps at this point. He's going to discard the wedding announcement.
Oh, right, there's no first strike. Yeah.
Has no first strike.
Yes, so this is gone. Yeah.
Simon hit a land, so that's lot number 4. But Javier, I think, will start things off with just dropping Aclazats.
Cards.
Javier's hit that magical 5-mana spot that you were talking about, Monty. And now it's just a matter of which 5-mana plays does he want to start deploying. But it's going to be turn after turn after turn. Simon is going to be under tremendous pressure from this point on. Looks like it's going to be Rafine.
No 5-mana play at all.
He's going to spend 5 mana this turn, though. He does have the Fairy Mastermind as well.
Sure does. Drew another Rafine. I think that's the card to go. These Aclazats are too valuable for you to let go of one.
So this is my turn 5.
It is your turn 5. You played the 5th land that turn.
Pass to you.
He's going to pass the turn back over to Simon Nielsen. Can Simon get back into this thing?
I think it starts with the 5th land.
Not a Fairy Mastermind?
Well, because the Rafine is still in play, it's not the biggest deal. Having 4 lands means that Simon has the ability to go 2-mana spell, 2-mana interactive spell. So it's not the end of the world, certainly, but it's not great.
Yeah, the Ward 1 on Rafine, very annoying here for Simon.
Javier will respond with Fairy Mastermind. I think Simon has to go for the throat that and Long Goodbye the Rafine.
And I will resolve this.
Okay.
It is Long Goodbye is uncounterable. You could also use Cut Down. Probably discard your duplicate Rafine here, if you're Simon. And I think given how Long Goodbye is better and uncounterable later on, you just use the Cut Down here while you can.
Okay, so good turn there for Simon Nielsen. He's able to use up his 4 mana. Did not hit his land drop, but he did take down 2 key cards from the other side, a Mastermind and a Rafine.
Yeah, Javier can start with a map token here. Can do it on the Aclazats or the Knight.
There's Aclazats hitting the battlefield to start things off.
9.
Yeah. That's the attack. I'm not sure about holding on to the map token here. It doesn't really feel like he is representing anything on this turn.
Combat.
Yeah.
Simon wants to go to combat, perhaps a little desperation creeping in here. He finds another No More Lies. He's going to discard the one he had before.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Ooh.
No.
Okay, no,
Okay,
because
16-9.
Wandering Emperor is an option now. And, you know, that...
Okay.
Okay, there's land number 5, and it is Virtue of Loyalty.
Very
It is
mastermind
Rafine.
draw.
Going to stick on the battlefield. Yeah, well, now he's going to use it.
I think that gets binned.
Never lucky.
Ah.
Oh, sorry, I'm not allowed to say
Come
that.
That was really good, Simon.
All right. You know what?
It is just part of the
Fair.
Magic vernacular, but he should be stricken
20.
from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll block it, but I figure out.
Yeah.
Which is good.
What is advantage? You think you do your thing.
Simon says, I am going to block, but right now there's a trigger resolving from Aquazats that's causing a discard,
So
and Simon
20 to
says,
9?
I'm not going to be able to keep up this No More Lies.
Cards too?
Yeah, I'm still at 9. Yeah, you got 20.
And I think it could be Javier's turn to just play a Virtue. I think
That
you
is
would
max.
like to
Yeah,
keep
absolutely.
That attack on
Virtue
Convoke is really good.
parity.
Yeah, I think so.
And especially with 2 creatures over there.
At least,
It is tempting to keep up Fairy Mastermind plus No More Lies.
He's going to.
Yeah. The big issue is Simon has already played his Virtue, so he is getting a little ahead here. The second Mastermind, of course, is nice. It does allow Javier again to respond to Rafine attacking, not making this attack fully free for Simon and forcing Simon's hand with that long goodbye, perhaps.
I will play Fairy Mastermind.
Okay, Fairy Mastermind.
2 cards. We'll normalize that somehow.
Somehow.
Somehow I'm going to try to No More Lies the Mastermind. Simon, look at his face.
Yeah, because...
Wow. It's a God Gamer move. You know that? How many games?
2. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
That's a God
So
gamer
what
move, says
happens
Simon.
with-
This is basically an exploratory mission here from Javier Dominguez.
9, yeah.
Yeah.
He just wants to know, what do you got?
Yeah. Tap out,
Oh,
essentially,
that's fine.
or lose the Mastermind.
Fine to me.
So I get the other normalize out of your hand, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
So he's predicting a second copy of No More Lies. That isn't
Okay.
actually the case.
Yeah.
Ah,
Try to get you. Try to get you.
okay.
Tried to get you.
Hola.
Okay, that's fine. That does nothing. Because all your cards are going to be
No,
lands.
draw card though.
Yeah, I know, but...
So
the
this
next
is
card comes
optimistic
down, so I don't know
Simon
what it
Nielsen.
does.
Yeah.
He says that does nothing. In fact, it does get Javier Dominguez a card. What did Simon find?
Deserted Beach, and that's awkward because discarding that triggers Aquazats.
Oh.
But you don't want to discard the long goodbye.
Oh, he
So-
is going to.
Yeah, it's an awkward choice, but
Using 5? Go to 15?
So 15-9. Yeah.
And trigger this.
Yep. Turn.
Okay. Well, once
Rafine
again,
is at 6 power now.
Rafine is kind of going
It's
nuts.
not a good attack. I guess 1 card in hand.
Yeah.
And now the attack's not good anymore?
Yeah, it's time for Javier's Virtue.
And then just tap land go.
That's the plan.
I'm just gonna go top line.
So this is what you were talking about virtue parity,
Yeah.
right? Is that Javier's fallen a little bit behind on it, so now this is going to cost him a turn to try to get caught back up. He can certainly...
Well, he has to get caught back up by playing a second Virtue because he was behind for too many turns.
Right.
Which means now Simon can attack again and then untap, make it bigger, and as long as Javier only has the 1, he will always be behind. And his Aquazats will always be smaller than the Rafine. So this is the issue by playing it safe, is now Simon has another good turn with this Rafine potentially.
Javier gets a card as well.
Let's go 1.
He gets to keep it. Ooh, go for the throat there for Nielsen. And Aquazats of his own.
Still has to discard a card.
And that means he can't do both.
Go for the throat as the discard.
Wow.
He is
7 damage?
not giving Javier
So we'll go to
a
8.
bat
Yep.
to
And
chump
then you
this
go to-
Rafine with or start growing the flying army.
Look at this.
Okay.
Simon Nielsen. My lord.
Go to step.
And there's his own
Yeah.
Aquazats. He is building up this board.
This is getting out of hand.
There are 7 counters on Rafine at this point? All right.
All right.
If only one of us had a Danik.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Tristan.
I'm sorry, Tristan.
Oh, this is kind of unclear. It was touching
That's fine.
me.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Clear, kind of clear.
Back to
I feel like
Javier.
I'm slowly losing. I don't think I can do much about that.
That's kind of what we're thinking, Javier. Said I feel like I'm slowly losing.
He's right. It really does come down to Virtue,
That's
and
the point.
the question
Okay,
is,
yeah.
if he plays the second Virtue now, will that get him back into the game, or is it too late and he needs to find a removal spell for this Rafine?
Wow.
Man, Javier's even gotten
Yeah,
extra
it's-
cards the last 2 turns off of his Fairy Mastermind. It just hasn't found the answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Second Virtue resolves.
Now he does have a bat in hand.
Yeah, I don't
That's a
think
chump blocker, right?
keeping up Iganjo does anything for you, so I do think you play the Deep Cavern Bat because it does become a 3/3 lifelinker, and that is a good enough chump blocker.
Pretty good, actually.
Simon says,
Can
"Come on, no card."
To potentially
could
buy him
get more
2
dice.
extra turns.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
That's for
Judge, we
4,
need more dice.
3, and 2. Continue.
Okay.
Another Rafine.
Someone's happy.
That's not ideal here for Simon.
Okay.
Yeah, but he can activate Mastermind if he
Activate
wants.
my Mastermind?
Yeah.
So what happens with this? Like we draw ball 1,
We both draw. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and then you
that-
draw 1.
Yeah. So no, this triggers yours. You draw second, and then I draw second.
So we draw
Yeah.
both.
Yes,
Two.
exactly. Yeah.
So is it actually equal?
It is equal,
Okay.
but Simon found an Odawara, and
Ooh.
that is big.
Judge is bringing in the big die now.
Yeah. Javier finds a 3rd Virtue, but Odawara resetting this Aklazots is a little scary. Notably, channeling Odawara does
Side
make a
bomb?
bat token. It is
Oh, it
discarding a
does.
land.
Yeah.
There's so many intricacies and interactions in this Esper midrange mirror. There is so much to consider.
Okay. Show me the goodies.
And we'll see.
Show me the goods.
That's pretty good.
And it's
Bad.
Odawara.
Says, I get a bat. Simon, he shakes his head as if he was almost hoping Javier misses that, doesn't catch that he gets a bat from that channel. Javier, of course, on top of it.
Yeah.
Is there a world where there's just a double? I mean, I was thinking triple block before, but now there's only 2 left. Is there a double block down the line?
This card, a card,
I'm gonna
Or
go
does
3,
Javier just have to keep chumping here?
3.
card.
Well,
I mean, how big is this Rafine going to be now?
let's start with seeing what is getting connived. It is all spells in Simon's hand, so whatever
Wow.
he targeted is getting 3 counters here. And Virtue of Loyalty is just such a house in this Esper
thinking,
deck.
right?
Yeah, I'm thinking there's 3. I get to keep 2 of these.
It's not bad, Simon.
Not bad. Rafine is very much a card.
Discard these 3.
Need spells? Okay.
So he discards
He
Mastermind,
discarded,
Bat,
yeah,
and
not a back card.
Rafine.
Oh, the back out of bounds.
But that leaves him with No More Lies and Wandering Emperor.
Yeah, you trade the bat for the Mastermind,
This,
and you
7,
chump
11.
one of these.
Yes.
I believe they are both 8 power. So you can chump one. You don't have to chump the other because you do gain life
That's correct.
from your bat.
Yes, I have an Igancho.
Javier
I
to 3.
don't.
Otherwise, it would be
3
lethal.
and
Iganjo would be lethal.
Actually, it would have been.
He's like, unless I have an Iganjo, taps it. I don't.
Then
I don't think Javier bought that for a short second.
All right,
Eight.
go for the throat. Okay, all right.
Solves one problem.
2 cards.
Okay. Aklazat,
Re-Aklazatzing.
I think Javier just
2 cards.
should make a knight here just to get the counters on it. And then
Is this No More Lies going to be good enough here for Simon?
I think Javier should just go for the throat,
Just
the
win it.
Aklazats this turn, and just say, get rid of it.
And make a knight and
Yeah.
say go?
I don't know how bad.
The Rafine is bad, but I think Javier just has to maximize the actions he takes right now and the creatures just to have a shot. at least getting the lifelinker off the board
I think honestly
means that
that,
he has a chance at racing. That's what I see.
Yeah,
I see Ardenvale fealty.
He's going to end step.
Yeah.
That means that No More Lies is now turned
Online.
on for Nielsen.
+1.
Don't like it. I do not like it.
Oh, wow.
That Odawara was such a
Mom
big draw
cuts.
for Simon
Huge.
this turn.
Can I attack?
Thank you.
I got to say, this match already has lived up to the to the hype. If you're just joining us, these players are both 10 and 4. They're fighting to stay alive for
Yeah.
top 8. They're also friends and testing teammates, as well as two of the more popular players out on the Pro
I will
Tour.
target my
Simon,
Ecclesotes.
in particular, is looking for
I think yes.
history to extend his top 8 streak from 4 to 5. But Javier Dominguez, one of the most dominant players of the last 5-6 years.
Make sure to discard. Actually, I'll stack them so you discard first.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah,
discard
that makes sense.
Discard first.
Yeah. I have 2 cards left?
Yeah. You have 3.
Yes.
Floated.
We're going to see that counter.
Yeah.
Okay, resolves.
No More Lives resolves, is what Javier Dominguez says.
Javier gets a draw here, and
Discard 2.
if Simon discards a land here, of which he has 2, Javier gets a bat blocker.
Boy, that's huge. It's like a turn.
Yeah. So the question is,
Can Simon afford to discard Wedding Announcement?
Yeah, I'll discard Certa Beach.
He's
all
got
right,
a
that's one bat.
Wedding Announcement and
So I can
a
block.
land.
So this is a 10.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna block this and this.
Did Javier? Okay, no.
Yeah.
All right, and there's the Aganjo.
Yep.
Torture Mount.
Yeah, come on, yeah.
Simon should get a bat here, assuming he doesn't miss it.
I'll
And he can use the Emperor to keep that alive.
So I don't gain a life. It's bad for me.
Is
As
the
this
bat
dies,
coming?
gets
and
bad.
I play another Anchorage.
I think Simon missed the bat.
Man, the bat should be
And
huge
I
there.
will
Iganjo did go to the yard. It's the same thing as Odawara.
I believe Simon missed that.
So this is at 8 counters.
That can be huge. You know, anytime you have a Virtue of Loyalty out, any creature, any breathing
Yes.
creature.
And here's the nice thing with Virtue. If Javier can transform Acklazot's back this turn, it will untap with those Virtues. So
That's really nice.
you will have it as a blocker with flying against this terrifying board that Simon has presented. Simon has
Something?
too few cards in hand.
14 and
So
that's 12.
Man, that Rafine has
will put
just gone
this
nuts here.
right
Th-
there.
this
It's got
game,
9 counters on it.
this game has
happening.
been fantastic.
And I
Just
will play bad because I'm not dying yet.
I'm not dying yet.
And I will play.
Play a Wedding Announcement,
Yeah.
too.
Maybe not. Using taps, I'm gonna chomp.
We have 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we have 9 minutes.
Are
I
you
know, I know.
serious? Wow,
Oh,
that
it's
went
really
really
nice.
quickly.
All right.
Just feel like it draws.
Javier says, I will
know,
stack
I know.
everything correctly and start putting on counters. You go.
Yeah. Alright. So two.
You have 1 card left? No problem.
No cards.
Wow, I did not realize the
You
clock
dead?
had gotten that
Yeah.
low.
No,
The
it
players
needs to
have
be
50
2,
minutes
which is
total
nice.
to complete the match.
Um,
Game 1 was pretty long, and this one's been really long.
And Javier is
Wow,
up a
okay.
game, so Simon needs to
Well,
take
I
this
rushed you
game
when I-
in the 9 minutes plus extra turns, or
So
Javier will
this
win the
is-
match. But almost certainly, if Simon wins this, then the match is going to be a draw unless somebody gets run over in that 3rd game, because it's really hard for an Esper mirror
yeah,
match
so I
to
will
finish
animate
in
this
9
plus
minutes,
Emperor on it.
Right.
let alone however much
And
time it takes to
attack
get there.
with all.
These players
I
would have
will
to take a look at their
Yes,
standings,
target
try to
my
figure out what a draw would mean for them.
Anchorage, stack the triggers, so
Can't
Anchorage
imagine
is
it's
first, I
great.
draw a
You
card.
only get 1 point for a draw versus 3
And then
for a
the
win,
Rafine
0 for a
resolves.
loss.
So 3 cards. 1, 2, 3.
Is there any way that Simon Nielsen can get the job
Cards.
done here? That Aklazot's is back.
No Latins in the graveyard, no bats for Javier.
So this is a 6 something. 6.
These are all lethal.
Yes, I got a match.
They're all lethal. That
Soon.
one has first strike.
This is a bigger attacker, right?
Yeah.
So
Sounds like a good block. I'm thinking whether this.
But this Oklazotz can just
Could be
keep
that.
coming
Could
back
be
turn
that,
after
right?
turn and be ready to block.
yep, and it has lifelink. So as long as nothing is getting through, Javier will slowly start gaining life. I think Javier has stabilized this to a point where Simon
Right,
cannot
so
win.
you gain 9 life,
Yeah. So with the 12, this dies.
and I gain 12.
Yeah.
So I go to 40.
Yeah, Fairy Mastermind lives. The Anchorage dies.
This dies.
We are starting to get to the point where Simon is thinking
More
of,
like
I'm
think-
playing for a draw here at the
will
best.
Map.
I
I guess my episodes.
Don't think he's getting it.
Draw this case.
I don't think Javier
I'll
can
play
lose
that
this
case
game in the
piles,
given time
And I
anymore.
will animate
Yeah.
and anchorage, and so it gets the counter.
My turn.
So he did
and,
lose the
10%,
Deep Cavern
such
bat
like
there,
this.
but
He
he
did.
did not lose the Fairy Mastermind,
yeah, so
and
it's
he
a-
can
it's a
get
anchor
back
to animate
the
itself,
Oklazotz
then.
straight away.
And that Mastermind is large. This is when Virtue of Loyalty
Yeah.
parity has gone fully swung the other way.
Right.
2 cards. But
Are there
So
sequences
this,
of removal spells
she
that
can
could get
attack.
Simon through this?
Absolutely there are, but he has not been finding it. It really depends on how many flying
The land,
blockers
leave this
Javier
thing
can present
again.
each turn. And look, Javier has 2 anchorages there, so
Oh,
the flying
boy.
blockers are adding up. There's another Mastermind in hand as well, so this is very much the point where things are out of hand now. Out of hand now.
2 cards. Mind the Emperor.
Simon Nielsen is at 40, by the way. And while that number does look huge,
Thinking if I'm attacking this one.
Javier does have a heck of a lot of power in the air.
2 cards.
And these creatures are not getting smaller.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do this. Whatever.
I wonder if that
Get
bat
this here.
would have mattered.
That bat, it
It would have been a 3-3 by now. Maybe
would have been a
4-4.
3-3. Javier was gaining enough life that it probably wouldn't have mattered. But, you know, in a game like
Yeah,
this,
we'll just do the
where
things
every
we can do.
resource is so valuable, it's really hard to quantify that.
Yeah. I'm trying to
Extremely
sort it.
difficult mirror as well.
See.
There
Or-
are so
They have a
many
fun
things
one?
going on with every card that gets played. They all seem to have 2 modes: come back from the graveyard, come back from the dead, flip over into something else. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Simon keeps drawing lands, which means he has to keep attacking and has to keep drawing cards, but soon enough his attacks are becoming bad, and every time he discards one of those lands, Javier is getting a bat. That bat can chump block,
You have
and
another flying blocker there.
every time he chump blocks,
I only
Virtue
have 1.
parity goes the other way further and further.
Listen, what is Simon saying here?
I'm sorry.
I don't know what to do. I think I have to pass.
Okay.
Okay. Javier has never been happier to hear that.
Sounds good.
You.
I think it is not
I
that
think
bad.
we're getting somewhere in the
I will.
4 to 5 minute range if I were to speculate.
Yeah, and
Plus on my
Okay.
That is heartbreaking for Simon Nielsen.
attack with both. Target the episodes. Triggers you discard first.
Play this.
plays Mastermind. Nothing to discard.
Another
draw a card.
flying
Yeah.
blocker, though.
Draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
And now
Then I
Rafine.
draw 2 from.
Oh, that's a
No.
blot out. Hold on. I got a blot out now, Simon. Ooh.
This. Not as good.
Yeah.
You don't
Blot
know
out
what to
is
do.
huge. That is.
I don't know if you have a counter. If you
I don't know if you have
a like,
Oh, and it's an exile effect.
Yes,
well, that's
finally.
Down.
So no can block, right?
Yeah.
This
And-
has 15 total.
Yes.
So
Wow.
6
Is he actually considering stack blocking here?
plus 11.
I think he's just considering.
I'm thinking a second.
He's
So
thinking
6
whether he's
plus
going to
9
double
plus
block.
11.
or
It
just pump
actually
it.
is enough,
First
right?
strike or not?
It has first
9,
strike.
10.
damn.
Oh, it has.
First strike or not, Simon? Like, why did
Cancel
you
all
ask?
this, yeah.
12, 14. I think I'm still blocking the tail.
Wow. This is
Javier's going to win.
Javier, I
Yes,
believe,
okay.
has
And then I
locked
will
up a
issue
win in this
and
match.
Play it and get counters.
It doesn't feel like there's any way for Simon Nielsen to get through, especially given
We
that
need-
Javier is now at
More bats
12
double
and
Oh, it's a 13 counter.
it has
I
just
think
enough
I
of a
got there,
buffer here.
You think I got there?
I think over there.
Yeah, another removal spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
Finally,
removal
Yeah.
spell.
Go for the throat.
ward.
Plus, Word.
War
Oh, you
trigger,
paid.
Paid already.
Yeah.
Prepaid that
Destroy
one.
evil. You can.
Wow, Javier Dominguez,
So-
incredible.
I don't even think it's going to go to
This will kill
time.
this.
Yeah, I think he's going to be able to
It's
close
just
it
going
out.
to be
Sure.
clean.
This will attack you.
Ultimately,
Not
it was a double
so-
virtue of loyalty. That he bought just enough time for it to build up enough of an advantage, and now it feels like an avalanche.
It really does. This card is so incredible for what it does in this deck. One of the most important being the fact that it does shave a turn off of Aquazots. The fact that you can add,
19 damage?
transform
Sure, I
it
take
and
19.
untap it in the same turn to have it as a blocker, to do it again and again and again. Circumventing that just means that ultimately Javier has Simon a lock. The Simon needed something
if I
like a
was
blot out
Ely,
of
I
his
could
own
draw
to break.
Sunfall.
Right?
That's true.
And he
That would be
didn't
cool.
find it.
Oh, but I
Javier
know,
Dominguez
good games.
wins the match. He improves to 11-4, keeping his top 8 dreams alive and probably knocking out Simon Nielsen from that potentially historic 5th top 8. Bittersweet, but he'll take it.
Bittersweet. It's a teammate. It's potential history that you don't want to be the one to deprive from your teammate, but ultimately Magic is an individual game. As much as you prepare with your friends, your teammates, and you're in the trenches together, your match, your result is the one that you have to care about, and Javier gets the win there in a match that I count one missed bat token, and everything else was just flawless. Incredible Magic from 2 Titans.
Super, super close. A really pleasure to watch. Great match. We're going to send it over now to Maria at the news desk, who's going to tell us about our next matchup.
Stay put, it's winning in Magic coming up next with Takumi Matsuura versus Arne Huschenbeth.
Takumi is going to try to close this game out extremely quickly by getting a bunch of creatures in play and then casting a recruiter to pump them all up, while Arne is trying to play Esper Midrange, the big bad of the tournament, trying to get Rafine down and answer all those aggressive creatures with some timely removal spells.
Someone's going to the top 8. Who will it be? Stay tuned and find out.
And welcome back to coverage here at Pro Tour Thunder Junction. We're in Seattle, Washington. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe with Monty Devuti. Thank you so much for joining us. That last match that we just saw had a lot of potential implications for top 8, but the match that we're heading into has direct implications for top 8 because we have a win-in. That's right. If you get to 12 wins this round, you're in. That's it. You don't have to play the last round. You just get that seat. And therefore, and both of our players are sitting on 11 wins. So we are looking at a clean win-in here between Takumi Matsuura and Arne Huschenbeth. You can see them here. Very different takes on the format. Boros Convoke, perhaps the fastest deck in the field from Takumi, and Arne, good old Esper Midrange. That's been the most popular deck in the field this tournament, and Arne has been piloting it beautifully. Wow, you're playing for top 8. Looks pretty comfy there for Takumi. I'm a little jealous. I think I'd be really nervous.
I mean, we saw Takumi a couple rounds ago, I think, got horrifically mana screwed against Karl Sarap, was smiling the whole time. Very late into a tournament. Top 8, very much live for him. He looked super calm, so that does not surprise me.
It's very impressive to me. By the way, game number 1 went to Takumi Matsuura here, so this is 1 game away. All he has to do is defeat just Arne Huschenbeth, no big deal.
No big deal. So here's the issue. Boros Convoke is, I'm going to liken it almost to Living End, kind of. It is an excellent Game 1 deck. Game 1, you just run people over. They are not prepared for what you're doing. They don't have the answers. Life is great. You're going to win a lot of your Game 1s. It might be the best Game 1 deck in the format. Games 2 and 3, it's a little dicier. People are ready. Pest Control was printed in this last set, and Pest Control is really good against this deck. Arne, 3 copies of Pest Control in the sideboard, and once people are ready for you, once people have boarded in those cards, life gets a lot tougher. And you know, I was talking to Tristan Wild-LaRue. He was helping Team Handshake test. I asked him, so what's the deal with Convoke? And he was like, look, it's the best Game 1 deck in the format, but we tested it. We couldn't figure out how to win post-sideboard consistently enough to want to play this deck.
Okay.
If someone broke it, man, they're in a good shape. But unless you have this 6 sideboard plan, then maybe Matsuura does, you are having a hard time post-board against these mid-range decks.
Yeah, we saw Matsuura play Warden of the Inner Sky, decline to attack, respecting Ardenvale fealty. But ultimately, it was a go for the throat instead that killed it. But Matsuura had a follow-up play with Resolute Reinforcements. Nothing yet from Huschenbeth after that.
Yeah, I think this is the second reinforcements, and this is Matsuura representing with this main phase reinforcements that he is going to go for Knight Errant of Eos. So that is something that Arne has to be thinking about. I think I saw 1 Tishana's Tidebinder in Arne's hand. Not sure what else he is holding, but that does work both on the reinforcements as well as a Knight Errant. The real question is, do you save it for the Knight Errant where Takumi gets a 4/4 on the battlefield and no trigger? Or do you just counter this and make sure that the pressure doesn't add up?
And that's what's going to happen here. No more lies. It's going to hit that Resolute Reinforcement, so it's not even going to hit the battlefield at all, though this does mean first blood here for Takumi Matsuura. He could stack in for a couple of damage, knock Arne down to just 18. A lot of runway there for Arne.
Yeah, and one of the big cards that we have seen from Boros Convoke players as a post-sideboard plan against these mid-range and control matchups, Urbrask's Forge. That is a big one. Card does a lot to help you rebuild and keep a sticky permanent around through these wraths, through these pest controls. It does stick around a lot longer. 3 copies in the sideboard for Matsuura. Hasn't drawn one, or might have one in hand, but hasn't been able to get it in play yet.
Very annoying card to play against. It gives you a semblance of inevitability, as it just keeps producing a threat every single turn.
I lost my fair share of draft games with that card.
Me too. It takes a while.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go anywhere. Oh, here it is.
Speak
Urbrask
of
Forge. Now, does it resolve?
The Forge.
This is the time, really, for Arne Huschenbeth to get it. And that's a Tidebinder.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's going to counter the triggered ability and reduce Urbrask Forge to just no text artifact.
As long as this Tidebinder is in play, and Tidebinder is a 3/2, so not only does it shut down the Forge, it shuts down the attack from these 2 1/1s. So Takumi, entire turn more or less shut down there thanks to that one play from Arne.
Yeah, Tishani's Tidebinder, very interesting card, has a wide range of applications. seems that the older the format gets, the more powerful it gets somehow, but it's quite good in Standard as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a lot of very powerful text on that card makes for a incredibly versatile and, you know, it's a bit of a tech card, but the bigger the format is, the more cards that it is teched against.
You can take a look at it there on the left-hand side. Obviously, Arne has a alt art version of it, but does the same thing. Is he just gonna get rid of the Urbrass Forge here?
It makes 3 creatures, which means you can just go for the Knight Errant. So I think it's worth it.
Hey, that's a really nice follow-up there from Takumi. You'd not think that this is how this is going to go, but Gleeful Demolition doesn't care what the artifact is or whether it has text on it or not.
Look, if Arne doesn't have a pest control to get this board under control, that is suddenly a big clock. And Imidane's Recruiter, that is a huge follow-up to a board like this as well.
Right, another Knight Errant for a reload as well, so a tremendous turn there for Takumi Matsuura. Now the question is, can Arne stem the bleeding?
Now that was a really good turn.
What a turn.
Yeah.
Like, are you serious? He played Urbrass Forge that turn. Like, that was supposed to be the play.
That was the turn, and then it wasn't. This is really the power of this deck. Knight Errant of Eos being a quote-unquote free 5-mana play that also finds you more gas. It just does so much. It is what makes this Boros Convoke deck scary. It makes it threatening.
And as sometimes happens, they chain together, which is what's happening here.
Yeah, and one of the issues is, okay, let's say Arne has a pest control. All right, you leave a Knight Errant, that's a 4/4, plus that reinforcement's in play. That's a 1/1. So with those 2 creatures, you have an attacking force and another Knight Errant in hand to rebuild from. So it's not really that good anymore. The pest control is at its best when it is keeping Knight Errant off the board. Yes, it does some cleaning up, so Imidane's Recruiter isn't absolutely backbreaking now, but it does feel like Arne, despite having some of these tech tools, is very much behind now.
You see, Arne had a long think on his turn, but ultimately said, you know what, go for it.
Five creatures aside.
Really?
Knight Errant, number 2. When you start chaining these Knight Errants into each other, all right, 2 Epicures.
Okay, so that wasn't so great.
You know, you hit
2
2
cards.
things.
Yeah. Okay.
You didn't find another
Am I
Knight
greedy?
Errant. You're greedy, but you're not wrong. Obviously, you would like to hit your better creatures. But anytime you hit 2 cards, it's not the end of the world. But Epicure, on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of cards that you really want to hit in that spot. Sarah's like, okay, I attack with this one. What happens? I think the worst case scenario here is you attack with it. Arne goes Wandering Emperor, block, put a counter on my Tidebinder, give it first strike. I eat your Knight Errant. So depending on what Matsuura has here, I think we may see another turn of holding back. We know about Recruiter plus 2 Epicures. The question is, what else is in that hat?
17.
Right. What does Arne have? Like, just did nothing so far. Clearly, there's something coming.
Hopefully, in his spot, Wandering Emperor. Could be Imidane's Recruit. It could be a No More Lies. But it does seem like there are quite a few instant seed plays available to this Esper deck, which is what makes it so hard to really predict and play around.
Is that a barrage?
That is Lithomantic Barrage.
Now are we going to see the... There we go, Wandering Emperor.
So I gain 1, 18.
Take it out.
Has to pay 1 for Caves of Koilos, so he shortcuts it to I gain 1. Yes, sir. Confused for a second. Figures it out. And again, Matsuura playing incredibly well, smells out that Wandering Emperor, says, I'm not going to attack, I'm going to remove this Tidebinder that is, in theory, not an issue at all. All right, I am getting a look at Arne's hand. It's not great. There's a cut down and there's a bat. Not the bat god, not Aquazots. It's a deep cavern bat.
Not that bat.
Not the bat, a bat. So that can come down, take the Imidane's Recruiter, but this board is out of control.
Yeah, he's really hoping to find a way to get back.
Now
Control
there's
here.
an Aquazots. Another demolition. That would have been quite the turn.
Wow, demolition, one of the blood tokens. Oh,
Recruiter,
man.
but okay. All right, now you have a 2/2 lifelinker with flying. All of these creatures are 1/1s except for the Knight Errant. Matsuura has a demolition in hand, but also has some blood tokens, and I think, depending on what he draws, we may go sacrificing here.
Case.
Ooh!
Found a
I think that's
case.
GG.
Is that game? Case of the Gateway Express will kill the bat.
You can't play the Recruiter this turn, but I just don't really know if Arne can come back from the amount of damage that this is going to be representing.
This is interesting. Takumi has to decide, do I even bother attacking the Wandering Emperor at this point? Looks like since it's going to be a 2-turn clock, either way the answer is yes, I do.
Cut down, save 1 life.
That's a cut down on a 1/1, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
for the record.
Takes 7, down to 10.
So this is going to have to be pest control just to get things rolling, right?
It has to be pest control just to get him alive.
Right.
Destroy Evil's not going to do it.
And that is Takumi Matsuura securing top 8. What a victory. And that's really cool. We've got a Boros deck in the top 8.
It is really cool. Both players in our top 8, Japanese. So great start for Japan in this tournament. And, you know, I got to say, I think Ikawa was sitting there in our top 8 being like, please win Esper, please win Esper. But Boros Convoke, first deck into the top 8 alongside that domain ramp. So not the best, but Matsuura is certainly happy about it.
Well, we've got even more magic to bring you here because we've got another winning in. This is Zhang versus Karl. Sarap. Again, you see the records there, 11-3-0 versus 11-3-0. So both players trying to track down that coveted 12th win. This is the last stop to get that 12th win and guarantee a top 8, not to have to sweat any tiebreakers or anything like that. We're going to be coming in game number 2. Zhang with 4-color legends up a game.
Yeah, not overly surprising. This 4-color Legends deck that Ray, I believe, is one of the spearheaders of the design for their team, Sanctum of All. A lot of the players on the team, if not all of them, played this 4-color Legends deck. This deck is designed to beat Esper midrange and is quite good at doing so. But Karl has already overcome the matchup once already against Ray's teammate Nicole earlier today. Now, Ray is incredible when it comes to constructed. They just construct these very, very intricate combo mid-range decks that can win out of nowhere. And another one of these decks here in their hands, Plaza of Heroes, doing a lot of work. So Karl has his work set out for him.
Would you describe this deck as one of those decks that has like a game plan, but then can kind of put together just the right pieces, I win?
Yes.
I love those type of decks.
This is one of those decks that it really feels like it has 3 game plans and also a oops, I win.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, decks like Splinter Twin, remember the Obzon decks that could gain infinite life or just kill you out of nowhere, but they had a plan, right? It wasn't like that's all they were trying to do. It's just if you didn't quite respect it or if they hit the right draw step, then boom, you can just be dead.
Like I wrote it down, you can keep it.
Little discrepancy there between the two. Looks like they've got it sorted out, though. Zhang has go for the throat.
Yeah.
Karl with just 1 card in hand has to decide, hey, depending on what that card is, whether he wants to draw a card at the cost of giving Ray a card as well here with the Mastermind to try to get out of the situation, considering he is heavily behind on resources right now.
Yeah, this is tough. Yes, you are up 1 card in that exchange, but at what cost? Cut down as well. No, Odawara for the full cheapness. Is this Zhang going for the win?
Yes, 3 cards.
Is there another?
Let's just go to my turn.
Yep. Oh, that was
end step.
Let's just go to my turn, they say. All right, okay.
Sounds like a plan.
I think this might be a combo finish from Ray, depending on if they have the pieces.
Tap for mana. Cast. Liliana. Tap.
Using Rona plus Relic of Legends to create mana. Cast a legendary spell, Rona untaps. So now you do have what is essentially a mana dork in the Rona that untaps when you cast most of the spells in your 4-color Legends deck.
2.
This deck is sweet.
The stack is very sweet.
The question is this deck going to be in the top 8? And it's starting to look like,
It looks incredibly likely that there will be a copy of this deck in the top 8 right now. At this current moment, from this exact position, it does look likely.
So 2/2. Pivot stand for turn.
The cards exiled on the side, by the way, are from Inti. Every time Ray is discarding a card, Inti is triggering.
No discard. 5. Yeah. Go.
Ray passes the turn back over to Karl. That one's going to stay exiled.
Yeah.
Not a lot going on there for Karl.
Karl
Got
has
a 2/2.
a 2/2?
No,
Rafine?
that's a Rafine.
Pretty good.
Any responses here from Ray?
I'm at 7.
All right. Our life totals are not accurate.
So like before combat.
It appears to be
7
Ray
to
is
10.
a 7. Karl's 10.
That is more interesting.
This one. Trigger. Still.
Takanuma.
Takanuma. Trigger. No 3.
Wow, this Inti is just popping off.
No 3.
Return.
Back up Inti.
Karl, just making sure to write that down. Rafine resolves.
Attack. Where? Sorry. Where? Oh.
There's a Liliana in play. Ray just confirming where are you attacking. I do believe Ray has a Boseiju in hand and the ability to channel it, so that can get rid of the flipped wedding announcement, which would mess up the combat math, depending on what Karl assumes is there.
No, I did. Okay.
It is going at Liliana.
And Ray's playing a bunch of those. Cares about Legends lands, right?
Yes, absolutely. Part of the value element of this deck is the ability to abuse those lands with Slogurk, as well as part of your near infinite combo element.
And it looks like it's just going to be Inti trade to maintain Ray's life total as high as possible.
Which, reminder, is at 7,
Right.
not 16, as you see.
We see the backup Inti in hand as well.
Okay. No cards?
Cardless is Karl Sarap.
I guess that's not.
Yep. Go ahead.
Wow, there's a lot going on here for Ray Zhang.
Karl up to 12. Ray can use Liliana. Goodbye, Rafine.
Let's tap this for mana.
Okay, Inti's back.
Let's.
That cottage on the left, by the way, is on the battlefield,
I guess
not the
attack for
graveyard.
1, yeah. Let's play Plaza for turn.
Yes, let's.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh,
This is the Goose Mother. There is another copy in Ray's hand.
Goose for 5.
goose for 5.
Untap Rona.
3 fits. Go.
I'll give you the third one, so.
Wow.
Let's go.
That's felt like every single time Ray has had a turn, they've been able to significantly advance their game plan, while Karl has done kind of not much here.
Karl says go.
And that's going to do it. Ray Zhang secures the top 8 with 4-color legends. Yeah, we're going to get to see a little bit more of that tomorrow, it sounds like.
Look, Ray Zhang is an incredible constructed deck builder. We've seen them construct some of the most complex combo decks that I've ever seen. Their online username, CFDSOC, stands for Combo for the Sake of Combo. This is what they do.
Are you serious?
They won the standard 75K back at MagicCon Chicago just a few months ago with what was the earliest version of what we now know as the Teamer Analyst deck.
Oh.
And they are the deck builder for Sanctum of All. This 4-color Legends deck, partly their design. I think it is poetic for them to be leading the charge for the team into the top 8 here.
Fantastic finish there, and a top 8 seat is acquired. So we're filling them up quickly, but of course we've got a whole nother round to go here today. We're going to take a short break. When we'll be back at the news desk. Don't go anywhere.